We have watched this storyline unfold before at Manchester United. Back in 2018, when Ole Gunnar Solskjær stepped in as caretaker manager, the club experienced an immediate surge. The atmosphere lifted almost overnight. United rattled off 8 consecutive victories, playing with freedom and confidence that had been missing. The football felt expressive again. The dressing room looked united, and optimism flooded Old Trafford. That run was so impressive that the club moved quickly, appointing him permanently before the season had even concluded. But as time passed, it became clear that the winning streak had masked deeper structural problems. The early momentum created belief, yet it also concealed weaknesses that only surfaced once the honeymoon period faded. The intensity dipped, tactical flaws reappeared, and the broader rebuild proved far more complicated than those early results suggested. That experience remains fresh in the minds of decision makers at Manchester United. It serves as both a reminder and a warning. That is precisely why Michael Carrick's current run is being approached with caution rather than pure celebration. There is no denying the results. Victories over Manchester City, Arsenal, Fulham, and Tottenham Hotspur in quick succession look remarkable on paper. Those are heavyweight opponents. Beating them within weeks of each other has transformed the mood around the club. Confidence is back. The players appear sharper. The defensive structure looks tighter. The overall organization has improved noticeably compared to a month ago. Yet from the perspective of the board, 4 matches do not define a managerial era. A handful of weeks cannot answer the bigger questions that determine long-term success. How does Carrick respond when momentum stalls? What happens when injuries begin to accumulate? How does he react when key players suffer dips in form? What adjustments can he make once opponents study his system and design specific plans to counter it? It is easy for any manager to look convincing when confidence is high and results are flowing. The true evaluation begins when adversity arrives. That is the stage Manchester United's leadership is waiting to see. There is also a sense of realism behind the scenes. During this winning spell, United have been ruthlessly efficient. They have converted a high percentage of their chances and defended deep with minimal errors. Everything has aligned in their favor. But such sharpness rarely persists across an entire campaign. Football seasons are long and unpredictable. Form fluctuates, margins tighten. Eventually, the tide shifts. The hierarchy wants to observe how Carrick navigates that inevitable shift. They are determined not to let short-term momentum dictate a long-term appointment. This time, they are making sure the narrative remains consistent beyond the initial wave of positivity. On the surface, the results appear flawless. High-profile victories, renewed energy, momentum building rapidly. But when you examine the performances more closely, the picture becomes more nuanced. Consider the Tottenham Hotspur match. It did not unfold as a dominant display where United controlled the tempo from start to finish. In fact, for significant stretches, Spurs looked composed and structured. The turning point came when Christian Romero lost control and was shown a red card early in the second half. From that moment onward, the dynamic changed entirely. Tottenham were reduced to 10 men for over an hour. Space began to open up. Their defensive organization weakened. United capitalized. That scenario does not necessarily indicate sustained control. It reflects circumstances shifting in United's favor. There is a difference between dictating a match and benefiting from pivotal moments. The same theme appears in victories over Manchester City and Arsenal. These wins were not built on overwhelming possession or territorial dominance. Instead, they were achieved through resilience. United defended deep, absorbed sustained pressure, and struck quickly on the counter-attack. They were disciplined and opportunistic. To their credit, the strategy worked effectively. But sustaining that approach across an entire season is challenging. Relying heavily on defensive resilience and transitional attacks leaves little margin for error. If finishing efficiency dips or defensive concentration slips, results can change quickly. It is a delicate balance. Internal performance data reinforces this caution. Expected goals metrics suggest United have been outperforming the quality of chances they create. They have scored at a rate slightly above what underlying numbers might predict. Simultaneously, opponents have failed to convert opportunities they would typically finish. This discrepancy does not diminish Carrick's contribution. He has undeniably simplified the structure, restored clarity to roles, and made the team more difficult to break down. But the gap between underlying performance and final results often narrows over time. When finishing streaks cool and opponents regain composure, the scoreboard may look different. Stabilizing a team during a turbulent period is one achievement. Building a sustainable model capable of enduring 38 league matches, cup competitions, injuries, and tactical countermeasures is another. The board wants assurance that beneath the current momentum lies a repeatable framework. They see a team winning games. They are still assessing whether they see a team truly controlling them. When familiarity with Old Trafford is set aside, additional doubts surface. Carrick's managerial career beyond Manchester United remains relatively brief. His most significant previous role came at Middlesbrough. Taking over in late 2022, he initially steadied the club. There was praise for the style of play. Possession sequences were measured. Build-up phases looked composed. Supporters appreciated the aesthetic improvement. However, over multiple seasons, the core outcome did not shift. Middlesbrough remained in the championship. A playoff semi-final offered hope, but subsequent campaigns saw gradual decline. Ultimately, by 2025, the club chose to move in a different direction. This history matters in elite evaluation. Not because promotion from the championship is straightforward, but because top-tier clubs seek evidence of sustained progression under pressure. Carrick's teams demonstrated structure and clarity. Yet when matches became chaotic or physically intense, imposing authority proved difficult. At Manchester United, results define credibility. Style alone is insufficient. When compared to alternative candidates being assessed quietly by the club, the contrast becomes sharper. Experienced coaches on the market often arrive with silverware, European campaigns, and proven resilience during adversity. They have navigated dressing rooms filled with high-profile personalities. They have rebuilt squads and recovered from difficult starts. Their track records extend beyond familiarity with the club's culture. This does not disqualify Carrick, but it frames the central question facing decision-makers. Does his broader managerial resume justify entrusting him with one of the most scrutinized positions in global football? So far, the answer remains under evaluation. Every managerial change produces an initial surge of energy. Players increase intensity. Pressing becomes sharper. Challenges are contested with urgency. The squad understands that scrutiny intensifies during transitional moments. No one wants to be perceived as part of the problem. This phenomenon, often labeled the new manager bounce, is well documented. It frequently produces a cluster of positive results before equilibrium returns. But short-term relief is not the same as strategic transformation. Once opponents adapt by sitting deeper and refusing to press high, different challenges emerge. Breaking down organized defensive blocks requires intricate patterns, rehearsed movements, and positional rotations. It demands layered attacking ideas rather than emotional intensity alone. The board recognizes this distinction. They are evaluating whether Carrick's tactical blueprint extends beyond initial structure and counterattacking clarity. Can his system consistently dismantle disciplined defensive setups? Can it evolve once opponents gather sufficient data? Manchester United's recent history is filled with cycles of temporary momentum followed by regression. Periods of enthusiasm have previously obscured systemic gaps. After a decade of oscillation, the club is determined not to conflate emotion with method. Another crucial factor shaping this decision is structural change within the club itself. Since INEOS assumed control of football operations, Manchester United have signaled a shift toward measured, data-informed processes. Emotional reactions are being replaced by comparative analysis. Even amid Carrick's winning streak, the hierarchy is deliberately resisting urgency. They are benchmarking him against other candidates. They are evaluating long-term compatibility. They are analyzing performance indicators beyond immediate scorelines. This approach stems from prior lessons. Past appointments influenced heavily by short-term runs eventually proved costly. The revised strategy emphasizes resilience through downturns as much as brilliance during peaks. The magnitude of managing Manchester United cannot be understated. Beyond tactical competence, the role demands navigation of relentless global scrutiny. Commercial expectations intertwine with sporting ambition. Pressure multiplies quickly. As former players such as Owen Hargreaves have observed, high-profile managerial appointments amplify expectations immediately. Experienced figures like Thomas Tuchel remain under consideration precisely because of their exposure to elite environments and trophy-winning campaigns. Carrick's recent results undeniably strengthen his candidacy. They demonstrate calm leadership and structural discipline, but they do not automatically conclude the search. The board is attempting to build something sustainable rather than reactive. They are striving to ensure that the next appointment withstands both celebration and crisis. For once, Manchester United appear intent on preventing the moment from dictating the decision. This leaves a compelling debate. Is the club exercising prudent patience, ensuring thorough evaluation before committing? Or are they at risk of overanalyzing and potentially overlooking a promising opportunity? There is genuine merit on both sides of that argument. Momentum can be fragile. Confidence can dissipate if uncertainty lingers too long. Yet so can optimism built on incomplete evidence. Ultimately, the coming weeks may offer clearer insight. Adversity, tactical adaptation, and squad rotation will test the durability of Carrick's model. Results during less favorable stretches will carry significant weight. For now, Manchester United stand at a crossroads between emotion and evidence. They have chosen deliberation over impulse. Whether that proves wise or overly cautious will depend on what unfolds next. The question remains open: should the club commit now and reward the current surge, or continue assessing before making one of the most consequential decisions in modern club history? If this analysis has helped you understand both perspectives in the Carrick debate, consider sharing your view. Should Manchester United act decisively and confirm him as permanent manager, or maintain their patient approach and wait for further proof?